Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Tunnelling. Today's guest, I've got Nigel Pohio. Now, I said Pohio because in Australia, you're known as Pohio.
Yep.
But for our whānau back home, it's Pohio, isn't it?
Pohio, yeah.
Yep. Nigel's also the founder and director of Break Even Mining, a contracting company that Nigel will explain quickly if he wants to. But I've known Nigel my whole tunnelling career. It was actually my first super. Welcome, Nigel.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You've been around for a while in tunnelling, and especially here in Australia. What's how long, mate? How long you been tunnelling, and when did you start?
I've been working underground for 42 years now. I started on the Ministry of Works back in Turingi. I started basically as a chainman, and a lot of our work was underground and on the dams and all that. And
what's a chain? What's a
chainman? A chainman's a surveyor's assistant. And I sort of worked my way up to an instrument man. But like I said, a lot of our work was underground, and I thought, gee, I used to watch the guys, including your father, used to watch them on air legs and that on the Waihohonu Tunnel at Rangipo South. So when I wasn't doing survey work, I told my boss I'm going underground. If he wanted me, just give me a call. And I'd go down there and jump on an air leg, and used to love it, absolutely loved it. Yeah. Help them load and watch them muck out, watch them put up sets, timber and all that sort of stuff.
How old were you?
I started this as a 16-year-old.
And that was all right to go underground?
Yep.
Really?
No problem, yep.
Far out.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. 16, that's unreal. But you must have cleaned up at school prior to that while you were able to leave at 16 or what?
Well, I finished fifth form.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, got to school C, and all I wanted to do was get on the Ministry of Works.
Yeah, right. And because of what? How did you get on? What was who'd you ring up?
Well, actually, my father was best mates with Noel Shelley, who was the employment manager, officer, whatever you called them in those days. He said, yeah, you can start in January.
Yeah.
Start next time.
And this is in Turingi, eh?
In Turingi, yeah.
So, as an intro, like I just found this out just a minute ago. So, where are you originally from then? Where's your family from?
Born in Waipawa in Hawke's Bay, moved up to Havelock North, and because Dad had been in fought in Korea.
So he was in the army. Your man
Dad was in the army.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Anyway, they went into the ballot for a block of land, and they won a block of land up at Kuratau, near Omori, just out of Turingi. And we had 500 acres there. And
so what are you talking about, a ballot? How do you win a ballot?
Well, when all the returned servicemen came back from war, there was no jobs, obviously. So then there was a ballot system that the government introduced.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you got, how many, 500 acres?
500 acres, yeah.
So you're from a farm pretty much?
From a farm, yeah.
Yeah,
basically. And, grew up in Kuratau, went to Kuratau Maori School, which is just now Kuratau School.
Yeah. So that's a kohanga, eh? Is that what you're talking about, Maori School? Or was in...
Well, that was just the name of it. So
spoke fluent Maori?
No. They spoke English there.
Yeah.
But, just a little 3-classroom school. And
unreal. Ride horses?
Yeah, we used to ride horses, and I used to be jealous of the kids on the Maori Affairs blocks as they had motorbikes.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't afford them. We had to stick to our horses. Used to ride our horses to the lake.
But how interesting's a cycle now? Now you love bikes. So riding those horses and looking over those kids with the motorbikes, it's all come full circle. Yeah. Now you've got bloody shitloads of bikes.
And the motorcycles almost killed me. But we got through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, Kuratau, then Dad asked me as an 11-year-old, did we want to keep the farm, save it for me or whatever? And I said, no, because I got a taste of the town life. So Dad sold it, and we moved into town and into Turingi.
Yeah.
Downtown Turingi.
Yeah, wow. Went to school where?
Tongariro High School.
Oh, yeah. I went to Pihanga, but I was only a primary school then, before we moved down south. Yeah, but Turingi back then was unreal. That was full on, wasn't it?
Oh, would have been, I think, got to about 11,500 people.
Yeah.
You had the Ministry of Works, you had Downers, you had McConnell Dow, you had Kudelfa Kojifa, Italians.
Yeah. So who did you work for then? What was your...
Ministry of Works.
Ministry of Works. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to name this podcast, like I've got Let's Talk Tunnelling and episodes. But this will be Pohio's podcast. It's got a good ringtone to it anyway. Happy with that?
That's fine.
So you're originally from Hawke's Bay, but then grew up in Turangi, worked there, went tunneling, went surveying as a chainman, you called it.
Yeah.
And how long were you doing that for before you got your first tunneling gig, as in down the face or wherever you started?
Well, it was 3 years on the Ministry of Works, and then and at the start of '81, mate Daryl Techie and I decided to come to Australia, and we sort of just stayed with his parents for a while, and then Bob, his father, was offered a job up in PNG with Downers, and Swan said, "Why don't you bring those two young blokes with you?" And that's how I basically got my start in actual tunnelling. But I'd known all the guys, back from the Turangi days, and kept in touch with them and so forth. And I went up to Rebel, and that's where I ran into your grandfather. Yeah. He was on the same project.
Yeah. So that was then, eh? When you went over to where was that? Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, up in Rebel on East New Britain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Great, absolutely great job it was.
Yeah, well,
great place, great people.
Yeah, I've heard some good stories from different people that were around in those times. Now, let's go to the tunnelling jobs you've done over your 40 odd years. Probably you talked about your first one, you were chainman, and then you went to Papua New Guinea. Now we're probably going to be here for days talking about the jobs you've been on.
Yeah.
But can you give us a bit of a quick sort of talk about each job that you've been on and what you remember? Obviously, way back then mightn't be as good as the latest one, but and then hopefully we can talk about a bit more if you get more involved. So your second job, Papua New Guinea, was
Warrangoy hydroelectric project. Great job. We used Grosvenor shields with precast segments. So the ground was actually mudstone, was quite soft, and so the shield, we just had a 360-degree rotational backhoe in it, and you just mucked it out onto a central conveyor. And then when you shove forward, suck your rams in, just like a traditional hard rock TBM, suck the rams in, and you build your ring behind you inside the skin, and just excavate again, and just keep moving forward like that. So 7-kilometre tunnel, 2 machines, one going downhill, one going uphill.
And hydro, did you say?
Hydroelectric.
Yeah, right.
So there's a power station at the southern end, and an intake structure at the northern end.
7 kilometres. Back then in those days with that sort of machine, the technology back then, how long was that job for?
Oh, I was there 21 months, but that was all the tunnelling was complete in like 18 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Geez, that's massive. What's the diameter of something like that?
Internal was 5 metres. So
okay.
The excavator was about 5.6.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What was your role there on that job?
I started off as there was a shift boss, myself, and then we had all the national workers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was all done on rail. Lots of derailments and all that sort of stuff.
But you were a tunnel worker, eh? So like comparing today, you'd be like TW1, or what?
Oh, not really. About 3 or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Geez, and yeah, good job. So from there, where'd you end up?
Oh, from there I went up to Octetti. Like that job at Warrangoy, that was a joint venture between Downer and an English company called Kia. Anyway, Kia picked up the Octetti tunnel projects, and they took anyone who wanted to go from Warrangoy, like us single guys. If you wanted to go up to Octetti, you were welcome to go. So I went to Octetti, and completely different place. Right up in the highlands, right on the Indonesian border. 10 metres of rain a year, like it rained 22 hours a day every day. I stuck it out for 6 months and that was it.
Yeah.
Got out of there.
It's interesting listening to that because, and seeing, 40 years later, you're still in the game. The old man said to me when I was finding it tough when I first started, he said it's a character builder, son. Do you agree?
Sure is.
Yeah.
Sure was.
Yeah. And camp life, single man, obviously, camp life.
Yep. I had a small married village there for the upper management, But basically, it was all fenced and so forth. And
Because I got a postcard from my grandfather one time.
okay,
Didn't have too many words on the back. It just said me going out.
yeah,
And on the front was this picture of this tribesman with a bone through his nose and painted up everything and feathers and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I saw them around all the time up there.
yeah. And
Up in the Highlands.
But far out. Farm life, Turangi, bang.
Yep, straight into it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so what happened after that?
I went back home. Went back home, and then I decided to go up to Mount Maunganui to stay with a cousin of mine, and I ended up working up there for a builder. Then I got a call from Jock Smith, who was one of the superintendents. So he was in Warrangoi, and then he went to Fiji. He said, "Would you like to come to Fiji for a while?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" So 2 days later, I flew to Fiji, and because the project was behind program, burning cash, and so they got all down. A crew in there from Warrangoi to go and sort it out.
Yeah. What job was that? Well, the hydro as well.
Yeah,
so
that was
mainly hydro.
Monasavu.
Yeah.
It was up at Monasavu. Monasavu Power 3 they called it. Another great job. We worked 11 days on, 3 days off, and we either went down Lautoka side or Suva side for our 3 days off. And whenever we went down there, the Oriana, which was a cruise ship, wherever that was, like it was in every second weekend. So wherever that was, that's where us single guys went.
Yeah, you head down to the...
Went on board and just, drank, whatever.
So you pretty much started off in Turangi, but then you've been travelling.
You've
been overseas. Well, we call Australia overseas for us, really, when we originated from home. But, been on the road.
Yeah, well, when we were growing up, Australia was this big island, It was OS, overseas, and, wanted to go to Australia.
Yeah.
And that's why I basically came over here.
But we were tunnelling in New Zealand, though, because Dad worked there right up to 81. He came over here. Oh, no, sorry, 1990.
Yeah.
So why overseas? What?
Oh, I just wanted to come over here and just try something else. That was all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, just get away from Turangi and see what else was out there.
Did you know about Manapori? Did you know about Cromwell, the hydro schemes and all that down there?
Well, when I was over here, Jock asked me to go back to Cromwell, and I thought, no, I'm better off to stay here. I was flat out here.
Yeah. Right,
and when Cromwell finished, actually, a lot of the guys came over.
They did. That's what I mean.
Wayne Dillon, Matt Murray.
Yeah. Well, those names you're bringing out, I remember them in Cromwell. I remember Dad, them coming over for a party. So, wow. Righto, so then Fiji and then...
Well, to go after Fiji. Fiji, I went to Melbourne. I had a girlfriend down there, so I went down to Melbourne and I bought a van and started doing a bit of courier work, and then I got a call from Brian Greenfield, Greenie. Greenie said, "You should come up to the Central Coast. We're doing a tunnel up here at Nora Head." So that was it. Chucked everything out of the van, threw all my gear in it, drove up to Greenie's place, and started up there. That's where I met, Johnny Gardner and Squizzy and Midge and Brian Baldwin and Tony Robinson.
What year was that? Do you remember what?
That would have been
so
80,
what was that job?
85.
85. Wow, unreal. So what was involved in that job, Nigel?
It was ocean outfall. Ran from the sewage treatment works down a shaft and out, and it come out at Nora Head rock shelf.
Yeah, righto.
Under the lighthouse.
And that was so what was that? How'd you dig that out?
That was drill and blast, but I got there just for the concrete. They just finished the drill and blast, and they're just starting the concrete when I got there.
So the lining, you mean?
Yeah, concrete lining. Yeah.
So how did they do it back then compared to nowadays? What was the process?
Oh, it's just a hydraulic form. You had 3 invert sections and 2 overt sections, and you just kept the invert ahead of the your poor invert section. Then you'd collapse the rear one, carry it through the one that's just been poured, and reset it. Do your bulkhead.
So sort of jump like that. Yeah. Right. What was the span of the?
They were 6 metre lengths.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so, edgies come in.
Yep.
You set it all up, obviously, and make sure it's all...
Do the bulkhead. You had an edgie that was parked there, and you had one travelling edgie.
Yeah, right.
And so he'd dump everything into the edgie we had there.
Yeah.
And off he'd go, and we'd just pour that. So we're actually shooting it in with a gun.
Yeah,
You
right.
don't see guns these days. But
Like a nozzle, you mean? Like a
It's
handheld nozzle? Or?
was a pressurised vessel. So you'd drop in about a third of a cubic metre, seal around it, had a top you sealed, and then you just hit the air, and the air would just blow it straight into in behind the form.
Wow. Good job?
Great job, yeah. I'm near the beach.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, well, so then, yeah, and then it just stayed in around that area, eh? Or?
Yeah, well, straight after Nora Head, Boomerang Creek started. That was a 11 kilometre TBM.
Where's Boomerang Creek?
It's up Mangrove Mountain, sort of in the Gosford Shire, but up behind Pete's Ridge. Yeah.
That's a rail job, obviously.
No. It was a water supply tunnel.
For...
So it was to take water from Gosford Shire to Wyong Shire. So it started up at the Mangrove Creek Dam, and it finished at Yarramalong Valley. Comes out at Yarramalong Valley.
11 Ks.
11 Ks of 3 metre diameter tunnel. Small tunnel.
So that's pop jacking or...
No, TBM, hard rock TBM.
3 metres?
Yep, main beam TBM. Yep.
So you had a crew down there the whole day, like working on a TBM?
Three 8-hour shifts. Yep. 6 days a week.
Right. What were you then on that job? What was your...
Shift boss.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I heard rumours, I don't know how true they are, you'll be able to tell me. You were one of the youngest shift bosses?
Yeah, it would have been in the day,
Yeah. What job was that on?
Well, I ended up shift boss up on my first job up at Warrangoy for Vern Swan and Jock Smith.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Did you know someone? Or?
I was
there at the right time at the right place.
I was a goer.
Yeah, right.
It's quite funny because Swan hated the Poms. He bagged them every time he could and couldn't wait to get rid of them all. And he kept one gun fitter by the name of Norm Cottis. We all loved Norm. He was a great bloke. But all the Poms were good, just that they butted Swan up the wrong way.
Yeah.
And once you do that with old Swan...
Yeah.
He was a great old bloke. We used to have some blues. Unbelievable. Okay. But he'd go straight out and he'd say to Stan Coleman, I got that Pohio going this morning. Stirred him up. It was just a big game for him.
Yeah.
Well, you do the same to Stan. And I'll tell you a funny story. We used to have this, we used to shower on the job. And it was just, was an office and had 3 rooms. You had the office, you had a change room, the showers. And I had the first shower so I could see straight out to the job. And Stan had the next one. Well, apparently that morning, Swan and Stan had a real dust-up, a yelling match. And Swan come walking in and I saw him and Stan was bagging the shit out of him. And Swan came in going like this, shh. And he walked past me, went up to Stan. Is that right there, Mr. Coleman? So anyway, on the way home in the ute, didn't Stan give it to me for not telling him Swan had been standing there all the time. Yeah, well, I couldn't because Swan was looking straight at me.
Yeah, so shift bossing on that's a massive job, 11 Ks. I suppose when you look at the jobs we do now, like there's some big jobs. I know North Connects is 9 Ks and the diameter of that job, and you get some big TBM jobs like even the ones up here in Brizzy, but we're thinking 85 too, aren't we?
Yep.
And I suppose the guys...
Well, Boomerang Creek when was that? 86, 87?
Oh, yeah.
80s, yeah.
What was it like back then? Like, what, compared to now, because you've been on a jobs lately.
Yep.
Give us an idea what it was like. Or even a shift. Like you say, there was that sort of banter.
Oh, we used to have, there was lots and lots of fun back in those days. You couldn't wait to get in there. And on TBM, you're just going for meters, who can get the best meters and so forth. And, yeah, just absolutely loved it. Couldn't wait to get down there,
So 3 8-hour shifts, so you didn't... So 5, 6 days...
There was an hour travelling
as
well.
Where was the main town? Newcastle? Or Wedges?
Gosford.
Oh, Gosford, sorry.
Gosford, Wyong,
Yeah.
Wow.
And on shift with your crew, you knew everyone? Or how big were the crews?
Yeah, I think it was... about 16, I think, in those days.
Yeah.
You had locos, you had to switch every kilometre. So you had to have a guy on every loco, so you had 10 loco drivers.
Yeah, right. So a loco is a truck driver, in our
trains.
Days. Yeah, but it's on tracks. So you've got your dolly cart and then...
So no, you got your loco and you got a rake, had either 3 or 4, normally 4 skips on it. And
so it
one or
skips the
two of
bucket,
them,
like, and they tip over, and then bang, sit up right. So how do you get your dirt into them?
To come up on a central conveyor
All right.
and just dump straight into them.
Yeah, so at the back of your TBM, we wouldn't have one all the way out. We'd have one that just sort of come over and dip straight into it like a funnel, like a...
Yeah, just drop straight in. You drive under it, and then as they fill, you just move forward, just keep moving forward, and all the dirt just keeps filling them up.
Yeah.
And then you get to the last one, stop, he races down to the switch, and another empty one comes in.
So how does the switch work? So
the switch, it raises up, because you've got a circular tunnel. Switch, you come up a ramp, and then it splits into two where they can pass, and then you come down the other side. Back onto the main.
That's bloody makes sense, doesn't it?
What we call a cal switch. And what you do is that you just drag it, keep dragging it forward until you got about 1.2 kilometres. Then you throw a permanent switch in and just keep dragging your cal switch with you.
So that's, we talked about it earlier, that's your floating floor.
Similar.
Almost. Yeah. So,
similar setup. Yeah.
So that comes along with you because you don't want to have, miles away, change over back then, but have to wait for it to get to that permanent switch. You want to bring it up with you in some way to get it up near, so when they are doing switch, because like you said, you've got 10 Lokies travelling Ks sometimes once you get in there.
Yeah.
So you need that changeover, rapidly, really, wouldn't you? So, you couldn't really muck around. So how would you communicate back then?
Oh, we just had a phone on the face. Well, there's no communication between logo drivers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So lights...
No, there's no lights in the tunnels. It was just black. Yeah, just dark. Now, I'll tell you another funny story. I was on the cal switch. No, it wasn't cal switch. It was one of the main switches about 5 k's in. You're just sitting there waiting for the man. I knew what time it was. I knew the man car would be coming very shortly for the change of shift. So you just sit there, turn your light off, sitting in the loco, waiting, and then you hear it coming. Anyway, I heard this, woo, woo, woo. What the hell was that? I turned my light on. I looked around, and I didn't know what the hell it was. I bloody shit myself. Just some noise just comes out of and it was there, then it's gone. And when the man car got there, I said, hey, I don't know what's going on, mate. Something just went past me. They said, it's an owl.
Oh, right.
He said, when we took off at the portal, it was sitting at the portal and flew down, and then when we got to the bottom of the decline, it took off down the tunnel. I said, Jesus, I shit myself.
Yeah.
It's in the dark. Anyway, it flew 10 kilometres or something, and the boys picked it up on the... when it got to the TBM, it was knackered. It just sat there. They went and picked it up, and the shift brought it back out again.
No, you fellas ate it. Give me that shit. The old man would have. Nah, he wouldn't have. Pop would have. Nah, I don't know. Oh, well. Wow, this is incredible. Like, we get sport today. Then we got bloody lights right up to the face.
Unbelievable what we do today.
LEDs. We got, got everything.
Yeah.
Righto, from that job then?
Boomerang Creek. After that, went to Opera House car park in Macquarie Street in Sydney.
And there was one just a minute, not long ago too. Was that stage 2 of that?
That was stage 2.
Yeah, so you did the original.
The original Bennelong Point parking station. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was like a, what was it, about 35 metres deep, 34 metre diameter. It was like a donut. We had the road headers go in and do the top heading, and we left like a 17 metre rock column in the centre of it. And then we excavated the top heading, and then we brought in a D10 dozer with an impact ripper, and it ripped everything. And as it ripped, we had 30-ton excavators chasing the walls down, doing all the bulk toes, knocking out all the toes. And then we had like 22-tonners just doing all the final trim, vertical walls. So you had a 17 metre column in the centre and like a 17 metre donut around the outside. Went down 35 metres. Great job, right on the city.
Yeah. So, and then, city life, real city life.
Yeah.
Like when you said earlier, you sort of moved from the farm to come into town.
Yeah.
Well, this was you come into the city.
Yeah.
How'd you go there?
Like
working within that environment, coming from way out Gosford way, and then having to adapt to that.
Working in the bush, you had no restrictions, and then you come into the city. We had to have dust boxes and all that sort of stuff. And because we were right near the botanical gardens, we weren't allowed to get dust on the leaves of the trees. We were right under the governor's residence there, and if the governor if we ever woke the governor up, we had to stop work. And A lot of restrictions.
What was your role then?
Shift boss.
Shift boss. Still shift bossing.
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, like I said, I'd love to go into more detail, and I'll probably have to get you back in to describe a bit more. But yeah, we'll be here for days. So what after that job then? You went.
Went up to Falconbridge. It was a 3.3 metre TBM. Went up there and worked for Larry Tattersall, another tunnel superintendent. Yeah,
So where was this job?
At Falconbridge in the Blue Mountains. The tunnel ran from Falconbridge up to Hazelbrook.
So this is the Blue Mountain job that Landis and
No, that came after.
Oh,
that came
really?
after, yeah. So this was the original, this was the first TBM up there.
Righto.
Yeah, 7 kilometres.
And rail, eh?
Yeah, we use rail. Yeah.
Oh, no. What was the tunnel for, sorry?
Oh, sewer.
Sewer.
Yeah, sewer. Yeah.
Alright. So you've done a couple of TBM jobs by then. All over it, or what was that job like?
Oh, another good job. Very difficult with rail because you derailments all the time. You know, you can't help derailments and quite a steep grade. It was, for rail, it's around 5% or something.
So when you're saying rail, and I probably when I asked you then, was it a rail job? Meaning, was it for trains? But when you talk about rail, it's actually
all your rolling stock's running on rail.
Yeah. So all your machines. So
all your locos.
Locos. Yeah. So the material that's getting carted out is put into a train, sort of with buckets on it, and they're taken out on rail. So when you say it was hard and you had rollovers and all that sort of stuff, is because of the ground you're going through and everything like that, or what caused
a combination of speed by the operators.
Yeah. Because what are you going around corners or?
Yeah.
So it's not
large
straight
radius corners, like 1,500 metre radius corners. So.
Yeah.
But the guys go a bit too fast and they just start to weave and whatever next minute.
Yeah, because you got a load on too.
Yeah. And then the dogs get loose and split. We actually had concrete segments there, but the concrete would crack, the bolts would move, the rail would spread, and it'd just drop off.
Because when you when we build our tunnel, we've got obviously a circle and we've got the invert, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your rails will be in there, or do we have a little flat to make it flat?
We actually had a precast concrete segment.
Yeah, right.
But they only had fibercrete and there's no steel in them.
Yeah.
And you just had 4 what do you call them? 4 threaded pockets. We just bolt the pandrel lugs down to, which hold the rail.
Yeah. Wow. TBM job, 7 kilometres in shift bossing.
Yeah.
Away. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What were the guys like back then? Like, were they? Did you have the same crew? Because you've gone from job to job, and even when you went overseas to Papua New Guinea and Fiji, the boss said, "Oh, we'll take those 2 young fellas." You're sort of the same when you got here. Are you taking the same crews from that got the
same
job?
crew basically follows you around, and they get used to the good money and they love it.
Yeah.
But that job at Hazelbrook, that's when what's the job down South Island?
Oh,
Cromwell.
Yeah.
That's when Cromwell finished.
Yeah, right.
Likes of Matt Murray who came over, and
Yeah,
Wayne Dillon came over.
And pretty much, so I don't know, like I know what it's like now, and when I look for a job, you're always in the know by contacts and stuff like that. So did you get a few phone calls?
Heaps of phone calls. Yeah.
And then I suppose it's probably daunting. Like, you've travelled a bit, but then to ring up for a job and say, yeah, we'll sort you out. It's like, I remember when I did it. It's pretty full on, because it's not like you're just going down the road and you can drive home. You're coming over on a plane, and you're packing, your family up. So it would have been a big move. And I suppose the guys that I have talked to that did come over back then, they never looked back.
No, it's great money here. Great lifestyle.
Yeah. Is that how you sell it though? Like, what else do you sell about? So if someone rang you up back in those days, Nigel, been such and such, just finished up. What's it like over there? Can I get a job? How do you sell it?
Well, so I can't give you a job there. You got to be here. So make your way here, turn up, and you can start.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The likes of Matt, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just if he's here, walk up, start.
Yeah. Few fellas like that though.
Oh, lots.
Yeah. And because of their backgrounds, or what do you look for in someone?
Well, I knew him as a friend. We grew up together. We used to go poaching together. He went to Downers. He's been doing it all his life.
Yeah, good. It's interesting because I got a few questions, and I suppose I can probably throw it in now. One of them was given to me. What makes a good tunneler, and what do you look for? Now you've had, I can only imagine, thousands of resumes come across your desk. But I sort of want to ask someone like yourself. What makes a good tunneler? Because there'll be people out there that are interested in tunneling, but they don't know too much about it or what to sort of look into. What sort of advice or what do you look for in it?
If they come from a farm, they've got to walk up start because they know how to operate machines and obviously had to fix machines before. Good attitude, like to have a bit of fun and, got to be serious too.
Yeah.
But, hey, it's hard to go past someone who comes from a farm.
Yeah, right.
They've just got that attitude. Just got to get shit done.
Yeah.
And they're used to work.
Yeah. It's a bit hard now because a lot of the kids are like our kids.
Yeah.
And even from, looking at my kids here, growing up in cities and concrete jungles, I pretty much call them. But there is that odd miner coming in now, from the hard rock, coming in. And I suppose the farmers, I know a couple of the boys, fitters, from the farmers. We had young farmer, we called him farmer, to be honest.
Yeah.
He come in and he's done really well for himself. And I think he's gone back home down the South Island now, back onto a farm. I think he come into tunnelling at Lane Cove. This is one of his first jobs. Saved like hell, went to Melbourne, and then I think he bought a farm.
Okay, good on him.
So yeah. So righto, from that job,
from the Blue Mountains, I actually joined Costain there, which became Peabody, and then Peabody were doing the job down at Prospect, and they just won a job at a place called Kelinchi in Malaysia. So basically, all those guys, the main staff members of that job, all went to Malaysia. I went down and did the all the liners, all the steel liners. Had to put all the steel liners in, backfill them. That was another, 7,000 metres of liners. Yeah. So that was a year's work and another great job. They're all good jobs.
So you're coming up to, we should be coming, you're into the 90s yet?
Yeah, that was the early 90s when I went up the Blue Mountains, and 93 or something went down to Prospect.
Yeah. Righto. I've met a few guys, they talk about Prospect, one of their first jobs and all that, and I suppose that's the generation there now that are the old school coming in, like I didn't even know about those jobs you talked about, the stage one of that Opera House and all that. It's not until you talk to guys, I suppose, in your generation that can come up with those jobs, which is interesting for me. Like that's, I grew up with those stories as a young kid. So this is awesome.
Well, Prospect, I think that's where Riga started with us.
Yeah,
he was only a young fella then.
Yeah.
About 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, more, 27 years ago.
Yeah. Right. What was the Prospect job? What was that all about?
That's water supply.
Yeah.
For 50 years, it had an open canal which ran from Prospect Reservoir to the water treatment works at not Bassel, Guildford treatment plant. It was like it's about 9 kilometres across the surface. Anyway, they wanted to get rid of that because of the threat that someone could just stand on one of the bridges and drop poison in it or whatever, the terrorist threats and so forth. Yeah. So they put it underground, and then they have since sold off all that land on the surface. Yeah. It was like an easement of about 100 metres wide for 9 kilometres. Yeah. So it's a fair bit of real estate they got rid of.
I was talking to Shane Forrester and because he came into tunnelling with Dad pretty much straight out of school too. I think he was about 16 too. He was saying, but I remember going to work with him as a young kid. I was on a Saturday and I went to work with him, and he was, I think Cromwell was near finishing all their work, and as you know, near the end of a job, you're always wondering what's next or who's going where and all this sort of stuff, and there's always that talk. And I remember Dad telling a story to his crew, because they said, "Oh, Jim, where are you going to head over? Where are you going to go to next?" And he said, "Oh, I might have to head to Australia," which was the mines. He ended up going to the mines. But they were a little bit worried. They didn't know what was around the corner for them, and being their first job, I suppose, a bit apprehensive and all that sort of stuff. And he said, "Don't worry, boys." He said, "They're always going to build tunnels. They're going to need us." And I'm sitting there as, a 10-year-old going, "Wow, always going to need tunnels, always going to dig tunnels." And he goes, "Yep, there's going to be so much congestion on the surface, all right, that they're going to have to go underground. And they have to go underground. So they're always going to need people like us." And cities, he goes, we didn't have Fox and all that sort of stuff. My old man hadn't travelled a lot. He hadn't gone out of New Zealand. So I don't know where he's getting. He used to read National Geographic or something like that. He used to read a bit, but over in such and such, Germany or Sweden, all this, he's coming up with all these jobs. The Channel, they built this, and there's cities underground in Hong Kong and all this sort of stuff. So these kids are like sitting there going, "Whoa, cities!" And like you said, a bit of fun.